should come out and like do some sort of dance or something. That got me really, really, really excited. Hey, so if someone were to ask me this question, they would say, hey, Kelly, what is your favorite movie series? Okay, here's how I would answer this question. I would say that my favorite movie series is probably the Batman series. Okay, how many of you in the room? Not many. That's okay, you're missing out. All right, the Batman series, particularly one of the original series, the first movie, and then all the way through to the Dark Knight series, and the most recent, The Dark Knight Rises. That's just one of my favorite series, because here's what I love about it, y'all. And that is, they take this character from the beginning, they take this character, Bruce Wayne, and they begin to grow him a little bit. And by the time you get to The Dark Knight, you're seeing this new thoughts, this new story, these things that you really didn't see in the first one, because they're making him kind of come alive. You're taking a different view of him. It's almost like you're putting on a new set of glasses to see more into this life and into this guy of who in the world is Bruce Wayne, aka Batman. So I say that because tonight we're going to do that same thing. We're going to take a new look. We're going to kind of put a new twist a little bit and read into something from a famous Bible story that you're probably familiar with. Some of you maybe not, and some of you, maybe you have heard this before. And so we're going to do that tonight and see what God shows you from this story, of a story that you probably heard multiple times. And it's actually found in Luke chapter 5. Luke is a book in the New Testament. Okay, you got the Old Testament, the New Testament. Luke's a book in the New Testament. Luke 5, verses 17 through 20, yeah. And so what I want to do, I'm going to read it, and then I want you to kind of read along with me and follow and see if this is something that you're familiar with this story. So it goes like this. One day while he, that was Jesus, was teaching, some Jewish religious leaders and teachers of the law were sitting nearby. Now it seemed that these men showed up from every village in all Galilee and Judea, as well as from Jerusalem. And the Lord's healing power was upon him. I'm talking about Jesus. Then look, some men came carrying a paralyzed man on a sleeping mat. Some of you heard this before? They tried to push through the crowd to Jesus, but they couldn't reach him. So they went up on the roof, aka through the roof. Where'd I go? There I am. They went on the roof above him, took off some towels, and lowered the sick man down into the crowd, still on his sleeping mat, right in front of Jesus. Seeing their faith, these guys, these friends, Jesus said to the man, "My friend, your sins are forgiven." How many of you have ever heard that story before? Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. And so tonight, though, we're going to take a new look at a very familiar story, this story that many of you have already heard before. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you the whole purpose of the story. I'm going to go ahead and tell you the whole theme and the whole idea of this entire series, okay? And that's it. And it is that you and I, we are called to be a bringer, okay? You and I, we are called to be bringers. You and I are called to do similarly to what these friends did with their friend. We are called to bring our friends, that's what we're going to focus on, to Jesus. We're going to do what we can to be a bringer, okay? That's the whole point. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that out front. But let's be honest when it comes to that. Our personalities, maybe there's some abilities, maybe some of your strengths, maybe some of your things that you like and that you dislike. There are some things that can make it difficult for us to bring our friends to Jesus. Maybe there's some thoughts, maybe there's some habits, maybe there's a personality trait, and sometimes that can seem like it's a hurdle to bring our friends to Jesus. But then there may be some other personalities, there may be some other abilities. There may be some other things that can actually be of benefit to us and help us to bring our friends to Jesus. Are y'all with me, guys, in the middle? Are you with me? Cool. So what we're going to do that, in light of that, we're going to look at these 4 men in a new way. Because it's so easy. Can you go back to Luke chapter 5 for me? It's so easy to read a story like this, and it seems so seamless. Like, we don't have a lot of information, but you see this story and you've read it, and some of you've become so familiar with it, and it seems like, man, Kelly, they didn't struggle at all. Yeah, granted, they brought their friend down and lowered him through the roof, but it seems like you have these men and everything worked out perfectly, that there was no miscommunication, there was no problems, there was nothing. It all just seemed so easy. And so suppose tonight we put ourselves in the shoes of these characters. We're going to have 4 characters tonight and the next week. And suppose we find out and we kind of look into that and we just imagine for a second. We're going to use our imagination, because the reality is that I guarantee if any of you have ever been in a group of people that was, well, more than one person, you know that where you get a lot of people together, it doesn't always go so smoothly, right? You've got one wanting to do this, you've got one wanting to do that. You think differently, you have different questions, you have different thoughts. It's not always as easy as it seems. And you know what? I just bet maybe, even though it doesn't say this, we're kind of reading into it, but I just bet maybe there were some struggles and there were some things going on in the minds of these characters that you and I can relate to, that maybe we can learn from. And so that's what we're going to do tonight. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to put your hands up in the air, right? Like you just bought, okay, lower them, just like you just bought a new pair of sunglasses, all right? Get them out in front of you, right? You just went to the Sunglass Hut and you just bought an amazing new pair of whatever, Ray-Bans. I know, Logan, you got your glasses. All right, you ready? We're going to put them on. Are you ready? All right, let's put them on. Be smooth with it. Be good. You got them on? You got them on? You like them? Okay, nice. I like them. All right. So we're gonna see through new glasses. And our first character that we're gonna learn about tonight, our first character that we're gonna see from this story in Luke 5, we're gonna meet, where is he? Fearful Freddy. I know. We're gonna meet Fearful Freddy. And maybe Fearful Freddy was one of these men in this story. And so if you can relate to him and you know, hey, Kelly, I know I'm called to be a bringer, this is what you might say if you were in Fearful Freddy's shoes. All right, let's roll to the next one. You would say this: I know I'm supposed to be a bringer, Kelly, but I'm afraid. I'm scared. That's a very real feeling. That's a very real emotion. I know I felt that before. I've had fear about what that would feel like to tell our friends about Jesus, to be a bringer. That's a very real emotion. So what might of some thoughts have been of Fearful Freddy in this story in Luke 5? What maybe he may be thinking? And again, we're using our imagination. What would some things be that if Fearful Freddy were in this story in Luke 5, what would he be thinking? What if we can't carry him? Like, what if the guy was fat, you know? Like, we don't know that. What if he was worried about, what if we can't carry him? He's my friend and I'm called to be a bringer, but what if I can't carry him? What if we drop him? Hey, they're going on a roof, right? If you're going to lower your friend down through a roof, you better make sure that you don't just drop him and that you're breaking. I mean, granted, he's already paralyzed. You don't want to hurt him even worse, right? What if we drop him? What if Jesus turns us down and my friend doesn't get healed? What if he was thinking about that? What if he had some of those fearful thoughts that were going on in the back of his head? See if you can find another one in this first verse that I found. If you can roll to the next one for me. It says this: one day while Jesus was teaching, some Pharisees and teachers of the religious law were sitting nearby. So these friends are having to go through the crowd. They're having to push through the crowd, and they're having to walk around some men who really could get away with and do a lot to them. Okay? So maybe a thought that was crossed through Fearful Freddy's mind was, what if we get caught by the Pharisees and religious leaders? What if we get thrown in jail? Very real, fearful thoughts. The two most common words of fear that you and I ask ourselves, or that we think, what if? What if? So let's put this back on you for a second. How would you fill in the blank to that question? What if? What would you say in that scenario, right? What if I get made fun of? What if everybody just completely laughs at me and I look like the biggest joke in front of my friends? What if I lose a friend? What if I have to start all over again, Kelly? What if? What if I don't know what to say and I look dumb? What if nothing comes out? What if my friend asks me a hard question and I tell him the wrong answer and I don't know what to say and then I mess everything up? What if? Maybe those are some fearful thoughts that have run through your head a time or two. And let me tell you, I can tell you for sure that those are fearful thoughts that have run through my head. And not just when I was your age, but as an adult, right? And I bet you a lot of the other adults in the room would say the same thing. Very real. As a matter of fact, as I was thinking through that, I thought about this situation when I was in the 9th grade or so. I was leaving middle school, getting ready to come to high school, and my 8th grade year, I had accepted Christ. I was around 13, okay? I had these group of friends, though, that I'd been friends with since 1st grade, okay? So we had grown through a lot of years together. I accepted Christ in the 8th grade. But a lot of those groups of friends that I had, I wasn't really sure where they stood with the Lord. I knew that some of them went to church. Some of them I knew that they didn't. But I didn't share with them about my decision to follow Christ in the 8th grade because I was scared. And so we just kind of went on and did our thing. So then 9th grade comes. And one of my friends in that group, her name is Tracy. Tracy and I had been best friends since we were 4. We did everything together, okay? And even she didn't know I'd given my life to Christ. That's how much I have struggled with fear, okay? So I'm with you in it. So Tracy's getting ready to have her spend the night birthday party, right? Because girls, we do love a good slumber party. And we're over at her house, and we've had cake, we've had presents, we've done all that kind of thing, and we're in her bedroom just having our girl talk time, right? Because you know that's always a part of it. Oh, yeah, I know. That's always a part of it. You have our girl talk time. So we're in there and we're chatting. I don't remember about what. But then next thing I know, y'all, it was like a curveball got thrown in the conversation, and we start talking about spiritual things. Like it got deep quick. And it wasn't that I was the one that brought it up, but next thing I know, one of the other girls that was there that was there that night, her name is Elizabeth. And next thing I know is that I hear her say, "So what does it mean to be a Christian anyway?" Now, come on, y'all. I'm sitting in the room, right? So what does it mean to be a Christian anyway? She's basically just laying it out there for any of us, right? How easy that would seem. Some of you are in there thinking, out there, like, Kelly, she just asked you. You should say something. But I didn't. Nothing. Didn't say a thing. And I remember that to this day because I was scared. I let fear get in the way of me making a stand and of me being a bringer. And you know, earlier, I mentioned that one of my favorite movie series was The Dark Knight. And so I thought about if there ever was a character that struggled with this whole idea of fear, that struggled with fear getting in the way of his purpose or his calling, it would be Bruce Wayne. No doubt, it would be Bruce Wayne. And so I actually brought a clip that I want you to take a look at. Let me translate for you. So you've got Bruce Wayne. He's stuck in this, he's been tricked, and he's stuck in this, almost like this city in the ground. And the challenge is that he's got to overcome the fear of climbing up this wall to get out, just so what he said, that he can fulfill his mission, that he can fulfill and save his city, right? He's struggling with that. And then ultimately he overcomes that fear, and he gets out of the wall, and he ends up fulfilling his mission. And all too often, fear can get in the way of you and I fulfilling the mission of being a bringer, okay? So don't let that be you. It says fearful Freddy. But let's meet one more character tonight. We're just going to do two. And we'll see if you relate to this guy. Frustrated Frank. I know, right? You make your face like that, right? Frustrated Frank. Now, what in the world would frustrated Frank be feeling in this story? Frustration. Now, why would he be feeling frustration? Thank you. Because he would say, I know that I am called to be a bringer, but I'm frustrated. Frustrated with what, Frank? Well, maybe he's frustrated with a lot of things. Maybe he is frustrated in thinking some of these things. Why won't my friend at least try to get up and help out, right? Or maybe he's thinking, why didn't we leave earlier, y'all? Like, there's a crowd. We're having to push through this crowd. This is not easy. We should have left earlier, like I told you. Maybe it's, why are we waiting till just now? I mean, he's been paralyzed for so long. We could have helped him out earlier. Maybe it was, my friend isn't even acting like he cares what we're doing for him. He's not even saying anything. I'm just so frustrated. Or maybe it's that these people won't get out of our way. We have a mission and we're trying to do something. Can't they see that we have a paralyzed guy on a bed sheet trying to get to Jesus? He's just frustrated with the scenario. He's just frustrated with the circumstances. And so maybe, guys, what you might be feeling and what you might be thinking in your frustrations, maybe some of you are frustrated with your friend. You're frustrated with your friend. Hey, guys, up here, I need for everybody to be looking up here for me. Thanks so much. Maybe you're frustrated with your friend that you've been trying to bring to Jesus because you've been sharing with him or her, and you've been talking to them, and you've been inviting them to Exit 7, and you've been doing everything that you know to do, and they're just not responding. They're just like, it's like a stone wall. They're just not responding to you. Maybe they're just being obnoxious. Maybe they're just being rude. Maybe they are making fun of you. And you're just frustrated because you're at your wits' end going, I don't know what else you want me to do. What do you want me to do? I don't see anything happening in my friend's life. Maybe for some of you, you're frustrated with your friend and the circumstances and the choices that maybe you are seeing them start to make. And you know they need Jesus, and you are doing what you feel like you are supposed to do, and they're just continuing making these choices over and over again, and you know that that's going to hurt them. You know that that's going to destroy them. I know what that feels like. I have a friend, and it was around 8th and 9th grade year. A lot of stuff started to change. And so this friend, I knew she had accepted Christ, but when we were getting ready to go into high school, she began making choices. She began making decisions. She went this way, and I went that way. With guys, with alcohol, with whatever, with just destructive decisions. And I just had to sit there and watch. And I did everything I knew to do. And y'all, can I tell you, over 20 years later, not much has changed. So I get what it's like to have to pray and to continually go to the Lord for over 20 years with this friend that I love so much. It can get frustrating. And the temptation, though, that maybe frustrated Frank felt and that maybe you and I feel is that when you're in those moments of frustration, it's so tempting to quit. to quit on your friend, to bail out. You don't see anything. Nothing's happening. God, why aren't you doing anything? I'm tired. I just want to quit. And so if you find yourself in that place tonight, I want to remind you of these words. As we're getting ready to end, I want to remind you of these words. I want you to see this. Is that when you feel like quitting, think about why you started. When you feel like quitting, think about why you started pursuing your friend in the first place. Think about why God might have put that friend in your life in the first place. And maybe that'll motivate you to keep going, because I know it has me. So tonight, you have an opportunity to deal with these fears, to deal with these frustrations, because the reality is that you and I, we are called to be a bringer of our friends. And so what are we going to do about that, y'all? What are we going to do about that? So here's how I want to end it. Brando's going to make his way up here, and he's going to sing a song. And I want this to be a time of seriousness as we start off this series, okay? As we start off this new year. I want everybody to go ahead and stand up for me. Will you do that? Thanks so much. Because here's what I want to do tonight. I want this front to be opened for two specific things, and if you'll roll to that next one. I want you to do two specific things tonight that you and Jesus, for those of you in here that you know you have a relationship with Jesus, you know that you're called to be a bringer. I want you to silently talk to him about some of these things. I want you to invite you to feel free to come up front and to lay down those fears and frustrations. Okay? I have to do that a lot. I have to do that over and over again, probably daily. Okay? And I want to invite you, if that's you and you have some fears and some frustrations, here in a minute, Brando's going to start singing, and I invite you to come down here and to get alone with God and to lay those fears and frustrations that you have for your friends or for just the weight of knowing that you are called to be a bringer. I want you to lay those in Jesus' hands. And then I want you to deal with the second one. I want, for those of you that know Jesus in here, I want you to pray for that friend. I want you to ask God, if you don't have a friend right now, I want you to ask God, who are you calling me to be a bringer towards? Who's that friend? Because in 2 weeks, the last night of our series, we're going to share the gospel. We're going to have a great night. We're going to share the gospel clearly and plainly, and so we really want that to be an opportunity for some of you to extend the invitation to your friend and invite them to Exit 7. But if you know that friend and you know who you're called to be a bringer, I want you to come down. I want you to pray for that friend. I want you to pray that God would do something in their heart and that God would give you an opportunity and that you would be able to take those fears aside and you would be able to be bold and you would be able to take that and invite them.